Look at that.
It's good that I don't have a monitor.
Yeah,
because I would just be checking myself out like,
yeah.
should be back.
This is a little, when did you release this record?
Officially, 2006. But then it was re-released in 2010 on Steve Vai's Digital Nations record label. So it had 2 releases.
Worth it.
Definitely worth it.
This was my workout record for years and years and years.
It's motivational.
Yeah, it is.
When you're doing reps,
Yep.
you need something that keeps you like pumped and up.
So who's playing guitar in this?
Some stunt guy. Like we just
Running a guitar double?
Yeah, like
play all your parts.
We just found a ghost guy that was at the studio. Like, you mind playing these parts? Like, cause clearly, like I was so hopped up on vodka that I was not going to be able to do the tracks.
Vodka and Mentos.
Which does not work the same as Mentos and Diet Coke.
No.
I did the science.
All right. So as you have gathered, we are here today with Mike Martin.
Hello.
Hello. My good buddy, my friend, my musical mate.
Compadre.
As it were.
We've worked on many projects.
Yes, we have. Many. We've worked on some pop projects. We'll talk about that. We've worked. We met. Our mutual friend was Eric Frampton.
Yes.
So Eric, we were working on a project, the Zero Chance Project, and Frammy Poo, as I like to call him.
I'll let you handle the Frammy Poos.
Recommended. He said, "I know this great guitarist," and he brought you in, and you got off the road. Who were you with at that time? Were you with Fozzy or?
At that time, it was mainly Fozzy, but Eric and I had just done all of the final tracking earlier that year for Rich Ward's solo record, The Duke. That got released on Spitfire Eagle Rock, that we were all super proud of, and we did a short tour of the UK and got to play Wembley at the London Guitar Show, and like really one of my favorite touring experiences. What's funny is I had known Eric at that point for 10 years, and like I think the first day in England, like I looked at Eric and I was like, "You realize it's taken 10 years for us to do a show together, and like we had to leave a continent to make that happen." Because we had never actually played a public show together in any capacity before that. We had met, we were both working for a local music store in Atlanta. Like I was on a break from college, and I'm not that much younger than Eric, but I think at that point he was already out of school and doing all the things that Frampton does. He had a really cool band, Pet Rock.
Yeah.
What was the Hip Heavy Lip? That was the original part of it. It was like the same band. It was Hip Heavy Lip, and then they had Pet Rock as their cover band where they could go out and work and just, make money. Weirdly enough. But
now, you know where I met Eric? Have I told you that story?
I don't think so.
Eric was with a girlfriend going to see her brother, and I was going to see a friend of mine, and it was basically a meth house. We ended up in the basement, and I was so happy to see another sane person. Eric comes walking in, and we just hit it off, man. We started talking, and there was a drum set there. I played a little drums. He played some piano, I think, and I think they had one there. And we kind of jammed and talked, and then I got him to do lay some piano down to a song of mine. And that started a beautiful friendship. But him and I ran in the same circles for years and years and years since high school and never met.
Wow.
So yeah, you never know. It's what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
you did. Cool. Well, let's talk right now. Let's talk about you got something coming up when?
February 15th, 2020. I am going to be opening for Tony McAlpine. He's on tour, and Tony's a friend of mine going back several years now, where Eric and I were in another band called Agent Cooper, and we got to do an entire European tour opening for Tony with Agent Cooper. It was like 5 weeks long, and like we slugged it out. Like I don't think we had any more days off than just travel days. Like it was probably not the most glamorous tour of my career, but it was amazing. We just like so many cool things happened on that tour that were just amazing. Like that's probably a word I'll probably
Well, then give me one.
That.
Give me one cool thing that happened on the tour.
Sometimes it's, you know, you have this romantic ideal of what touring is going to be like, and that it's going to be, you know, there's going to be buses and there's going to be catering.
So much
and
catering.
There's going to be all the catering, and it's not going to be a deli tray at all.
Yeah.
It's not going to be anything like that, you know, and there's going to be people and like scantily clad women that are serving said deli trays to you and whatever else, and there'll be press and all kinds of stuff. Not so much on the club tours. You don't get so much of that stuff. It actually ends up being a lot of deli trays and all of that stuff. And what was cool is like we were all on the same bus. That was part of how we worked out the tour logistics. Is Tony and his band chartered the bus, and then we bought onto the tour. And some of the ways that we helped fund the bus was I was a personal guitar tech for Tony on that tour, and our drummer Ganesh Girijaya, he was Achilles Priester's drum tech on that tour. And that helped defray some of the costs because they didn't have both a big enough bus and budget to bring over people from the States to do that teching. So me and Ganesh had our work cut out for us on the entire tour because, like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we basically became roadies, which was not really what we were supposed to be doing. I was just personal assistant to Mr. Tony McAlpine, and he was really personal assistant to Mr. Priester. But invariably, like, we're the opening act, so we ended up handling, you know, a fair amount of the trailer duties, both at load in and load out and all of that stuff. But we shared a tremendous amount of backline. So Ganesh was playing Achilles' drum set on the tour. So, like, that's crazy. Like, if you've ever seen Achilles' drum set, like, it's this cage rack thing with, like, 8 bass drums, or like, I can't even remember everything that we had on it, but it was a massive thing. And that's kind of what Achilles is known for. Like in Brazil, when he tours, he has his own trailer for his drum set. And like, he goes and does clinics and performances, you know, just doing that stuff when he's not touring with other full-time bands. So crazy. But anyway, there was a bunch of little things that happened along the way, but we ended up playing. I'm trying to remember if it was in like Athens, Greece, or in Thessaloniki, Greece. And like right at that moment in the tour, like there was a couple of funny things that had happened at the start of the tour that kind of mirrored its way about halfway into that tour. And one of the things was Achilles had a hired drum set out of a backline company in London, just like all of our Hughes and Kettner amps. Like I was playing Tony's amp, and Neely Brosh was using Hughes and Kettner's amp on that tour. It just made more sense for all of us to use stuff that we could share in case anybody's amp went down. Any one of us could use anybody's amp. So it was super thoughtful in that way. And it made more sense to set up one drum set for the whole thing than to have 2 drum sets, plus storage on the trailer and all that stuff. Considering the ginormity of Achilles' drum set, made way more sense for everybody just to play Achilles' drum set. But the funny thing with that is, with this whole rack system that Achilles had, like, I can't remember if it's got to be the hi-hat stand. There wasn't one that would fit in this rack adapter that Achilles was using. So literally Achilles asked Ganesh to like cut part of the metal off with a hacksaw. So like the grumbling over like, man, we're just starting this tour, and like there's all this work going into to like mangle these metal hardware bits that poor Ganesh had to deal with. And then when we got to Athens, not only there were riots going on in the street because there was a bit of European Union stuff going on, so it wasn't safe to walk in some areas of town. But we were cool exactly where the venue was, but Achilles had broken the hi-hat stand that we had been using that Ganesh had hacked up with a hacksaw only a couple of weeks earlier. And he had to like ride on the back of a motorcycle or a bicycle or something crazy to go buy another.
Ganesh did?
Ganesh did.
Oh,
to
Ganesh,
go buy
poor
it,
guy.
like through the riots, go to a music store, get a hi-hat stand, bring it back, and cut it up with another hacksaw. So he had to do it twice on that tour. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we had a ferry chartered to get us up to, we were coming into port in Venice, Italy, like the next day. So it was a 24-hour ferry. And if you missed your ferry call, we would have missed the next show because there's I forget what the window of time was, like 12 hours to the next ferry or something like that. So we had played every show up to that point in the tour, but to save time so that we could end the show earlier, we ended up having to not play our set, which was crazy because like we just, we bought onto this tour and all that stuff. But really cool things happen on the road that you don't necessarily anticipate. Like we were all friends at this point. Like I've known Eric for so long. At that point, 20 years into our relationship, Doug, the singer, and Sean, the bass player, we had known each other since 1992. So like old salty friends. So like we didn't need any more character relationship building at that particular point.
Yeah.
But like the solidarity of us in the dressing room when we had to come to that decision of like, we could stick to our guns, but it does really make more sense to get us to the next town by just sitting out our set, even though we'd already set up and sound checked and all of that stuff, so that we could guarantee that we made the ferry on time.
Yeah.
Like, there was just a short minute of time. We were probably in the dressing room, tiny little dressing room for, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And Eric pulled out his laptop and he just started playing a bunch of Last Plane Out by what's the name of the band? Come on, it's one of my favorite bands. I'm gonna beat myself.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
I'll subtitle it in there.
Yeah,
So,
but anyway, like
now,
just the solidarity of the band.
Yeah, one of my favorite things with Frampton is if I won the lottery, Eric would follow me around and just do improv songs to my life.
Just to be the musical soundtrack to everything. Yeah.
His improv is fantastic. He used to do that Dad's Garage thing. Did you ever see him there?
Oh yeah, many times. And we did. There were two shows that happened, and I'm sure Eric has done more than these two shows, but two shows I got involved with directly because of Eric were Song of the Living Dead, where he did all the music with Travis Sharp, who had wrote the show. I did all of the zombie guitars for the soundtrack that the singers were, and the actors were playing to. And then I think it was the next year they did The Change, which was like a Teen Wolf kind of musical that was ridiculous. And again, I got to do all the guitar work for that too. So crazy, funny, silly, awesome. Like Eric is just brilliant beyond brilliant. Even in the moment of just improvisation, and you give him more time to think about something and it gets that much more ridiculous, which is crazy.
All right, so tell me about this show you got coming up. Have you played just with your own band recently, or has it been a while?
No, it's been a while. Like I think the last show I did proper was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in August of 2016. So it's been 3.5 years since I've done a show.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, that year I had started working on the record that I'm just now re-picking back up, which is an album called Drive. I had decided after a little bit of time it's really been a long time since I've done a full record of my own, but I'd put out a couple of singles. Like I did a Christmas single one year in 2013, I think it was, and then in 2014 or 15, I put out another single called Wherever You Are, with the hopes that this would be sort of a fundraiser for the next big project of my own.
Yeah.
So I started work on this record, Drive, I guess it's been almost exactly 4 years ago when I started working on it and just accumulating all of the writing that I had been collecting over years and years and years and years. Like every time I have an idea when I'm practicing, I just have my iPhone out and like I'll just capture a little idea. And the cool thing about doing it that way is like everything just gets cataloged in a voice memo folder on iTunes. So at another time I can just go through when like I don't have any ideas. I'm like, well, let's just see what I've got.
Yeah.
Start pulling like, well, I know this was a 7-string idea, or I know this was a drop C tuning idea, or this is in the key of whatever. So I could at least start putting things into lanes of like, well, this might be a bridge for a song that I didn't realize kind of went together, but they're on the same guitar, so chances are they may work. Or sometimes, this is weird, your subconscious kind of, at least mine does, it'll work on an idea over a long period of time. Whether it's a set of chord changes that I just really like the relationship between those sounds. So like I'll end up writing, air quotes, like maybe 4 iterations of the same kind of chordal idea just because I'm enamored with the sound of the way those chords interact. And then you get to pull them together on another day and you're like, oh, well, really what I'm trying to do is write this song. These are just me chipping away at what is the idea. Like there are 2 songs, for example, on this record. One is the title track called Drive, and then there's another tune that is later in the record called "When in Doubt, Run."
So are you going to be playing these at the new show?
Yes, I'm going to be playing at least 3 new songs at this set. Like I'll probably play at least 1 record off of 2 of 5. The other 2 singles I released, like one's a Christmas song. I'm not going to play that. It's a little late for that this year, or early this year now. And then the other one's a ballad, and I'm doing an opening set. It's really hard to do a ballad in the middle of a set opening up for somebody like Tony, who's going to play all of the notes. So my job is really to play all of the wrong notes before he plays.
He plays all the right notes?
Because he's going to play all the right ones. And then there's 2 other opening acts of local guitar players that are incredible too. Splurge is one band, and I'm trying to remember the name of the other band. But there's 4 of us total opening the show. So like it's Guitarmageddon. Like all of the notes will be played. I'm really there for comic relief.
Well, oh, come on. No, so who's playing with you?
For this show, I have Dennis Kofer on bass, who is an amazing musician. He and I have been playing together in this corporate band that I play in called Jesse's Girls for 3 years now. And he's one of those guys who he can play anything, whether it's jazz, R&B, funk. It doesn't matter. Like he owns all of it. And he's been bass player to Monica, who's a pretty well-known R&B artist going back several years. So he's well into the touring and all of that stuff. He's got a good history and career trajectory. We've been talking about doing other stuff outside of the corporate band since we've been working together. Yep. And since we're the string players in the band, like he and I end up kind of carousing all the time anyway. So like almost every city we go to, we'll go find a cigar bar or something like that. And like that's our thing. We'll find a scotch, and we'll find a cigar, and then we'll hang out. And that's our little bit of civilization when we're on the road, which is great.
Cool.
And then on drums, I have been talking with a good friend of mine, Garrett Whitlock, who probably most notably plays drums for Tremonti, Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge and Creed. That's his solo project.
Garrett's good.
He's incredible. Yeah. And I've played one show with him before with Charlie Sheets, who's my singer in my band, The Dreaded Marco. And Charlie's stuff is mainly like Americana kind of stuff. So it was like this laid-back show that we did, and like I think me and Charlie were playing Telecasters, and Garrett's just, he's super versatile. But like to see him play with Tremonti, which is heavier than anything that he does, like Alter Bridge is a pretty heavy project for Tremonti. But like Tremonti is like more his. I don't get to leverage these really heavy tunes in Alter Bridge is what it feels like to me. Yeah, because like it's way riffier, it's way more aggressive. Not that Alter Bridge isn't aggressive, but like he just pushes the envelope. Like Mark is such a great guitar player.
So it's just a trio?
At the moment, yeah. I'm kind of debating. Like I've reached out to Eric because Eric has been my keyboardist forever. Like he played everything on my first record, 2 of 5, and we've done, the Zero Chance record together, all the Fozzy records together, the Stuck Mojo records together, where he played on all that stuff. The Duke record. Like so many things. Like he has just been my guy. He's my Lyle Mays to if I'm like a Pat Metheny, which I'm not. He's way more like Lyle Mays than I'll ever be like Pat Metheny, but like we just have a rapport that really works well together. So I reached out to him, but he's crazy busy all the time. So,
all the time.
Yeah.
So he, either I guess Lionel Richie, is that his life partner now, or does he just work for him?
I think he's just working for him.
Just working for him?
But I think it's working out pretty good for him.
Working out pretty good, yeah. They're getting along well.
Yeah.
He's, so we did that. Okay, so we met doing the Zero Chance record, like I was talking about. We needed a guitar player, and Eric said, I've got the man, and he brought you in. So we had gotten you off the road and got you off this heavy thing, and then got you involved with my little pop band, Zero Chance.
Which was great.
Yeah.
It was super great. It was
a killer project.
It was we were talking about this at a gig that Glenn and I were hosting an open mic for a little while at Roswell here just outside in the suburbs of Atlanta. Just a couple of months ago, and we were just kind of reminiscing about what was going on at the time. And like that year, we did the tour for the Duke for My Kung Fu Is Good, which like right after that we learned that Universal bought up Eagle Rock Spitfire, so like that whole project just got shelved, which was terrible because it was an amazing record. Yeah. I don't even think you can find it online, and I wish you could, because I would love to point everybody to it because like it holds up. It's just such a well done record. Right after that, I started work on learning Pro Tools and pre-production for 2 of 5, my record. And like in the middle of that, when I'd started doing that work, and I knew we were getting ready to go to Australia with Fozzy to record a live record and a DVD, which I think the DVD ultimately got shelved, but we did release a live record. That was that window. That's when we'd worked on the Zero Chance record. Like I was just like crazy in the middle of everything, all the stuff. So Eric was doing all the keys on my record, and he's like, "Do you want to work on this Zero Chance project?" I'm like, 100%. And it was a really great break for me to just get out of figuring out how to run Pro Tools and do all of that stuff, and just be in the hot seat with you and Eric, who are both incredibly creative. And like that band, what an incredibly creative bunch of young guys.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Very young and open.
Yeah. The songs were great. Like there was not anything at that point that was like, this is kind of a throwaway track. Like everything was so well thought out. Like, and you can still hear that record on Spotify. Like it's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell everybody that's probably, other than My Kung Fu is good, I think sonically that's the best sounding record that I've worked on. Like every time I listen to that record, there's so much ear candy everywhere. Because you and Eric just thought of everything, whether it's a vocal thing or the drum production on that record sounds incredible.
Aaron Thompson right there.
So good. And like we had fun coming up with guitar sounds. So like some of it is like I kind of got to push a little bit of the, more aggressive rhythm guitar stuff, like on Burn My Radio. But But then Eric would come up with all these really cool things. Like I have this really old reverb tank, and it would be really cool to do this kind of clean guitar thing through it. Like, and that ends up being my favorite stuff, because especially you're listening on headphones and just these pillows of clouds
this
of
ethereal
guitar
thing.
notes.
Remember we did the Leslie?
Yes.
Had the Leslie guitar through the big Leslie he had?
Yes.
That was cool too. Yeah. It was Eric he'll get creative. He's using paintbrushes on guitars. Yeah, he'll get out there. It was fun. I loved working with him. His little genius machine, I call it. You know that thing?
Yes.
The keyboard
that
modules
whole
that he built, the whole module bay.
Every time we do something, like we have to use it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I've got, all the Moog stuff and all this other stuff. I'm like, dude, we can do science. There's all the science that can happen.
The genius machine. Go to the genius machine and cook me something up.
Like every time, it's so much fun. Like when I think about all the other things you can do in the studio, there's a lot that can be not very memorable, but things like that where we're going for a sound, and then Eric just wheels over on the chair and he starts patching in this oscillator into this, this VCO, or like I don't even know what everything's called, but it's like Thomas Dolby meets like Nikola Tesla. He's just over there and like sparks and like stuff is happening, and then like a note that just shakes the whole building, and you're like, I love it. I don't know if it's useful, but I love this. This is incredible. Like I remember that stuff. Software synthesizers and stuff like that, like, You're like, it's a cool sound. Yeah, we get a cool part. Like, you're cutting up in the studio and doing all that stuff. But like, I'm just young enough to where I missed all of the real studio experimentation, where you're like working on tape, and like, because you got one chance to get it. That's everything.
I remember doing a record in not a record, I was doing demos in late 80s. And the engineer brought in the DAT deck. That was the first bit of digital. I was like, oh, God, we're going to put it on digital? Are you kidding me? I'm digital now? I felt like I'm different. Felt more, important.
Yeah, when I started recording, had I had more opportunities to record a little bit younger, because I'm not that young, I probably would have been a little bit more into the tape world. But by the time I really got into proper studios, it was the ADAT world for everything, which came with its own set of, we got to wait for these things to sync up and all the stuff. And you still needed a little bit of magic between you and the engineer if you had to do punches and stuff like that, because the timing had to be just right. But, now with Pro Tools and Logic and everything else, it's not an issue at all. It's crazy how easy it is. Now.
You know what I liked about that one of the things about bringing you into the Zero Chance thing is it was such a pop record, pop band. And you bring in a heavy metal guy to play guitar, and you have that contrast. And that's one of the things that made that record, was having that contrast and that big, that big different thing. For me, it's like a banjo in heavy metal.
It's a funny thing. And when you think about it, if you think about retro pop records like that, like some of the things that I was thinking about in my own references as we were working on parts were like Rick Springfield. Well, Rick Springfield's an incredible guitar player.
Yeah.
And like you can't really sleep on the guitar parts on his record. Like maybe you get caught up in how handsome he was and that he was on General Hospital and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But like Jesse's Girl is a riffy tune. Like the guitar playing on that is stellar. Like all of that stuff. His guitar playing is really super good. Who's that other guy?
Sean Cassidy.
Sean Cassidy. No, the guy that did The Stroke. And
Billy Squier.
Billy Squier.
Oh, he was a guitar monster, though.
He was a monster of a guitar player before he had any pop success.
Yeah.
So, like, when you listen to those records, like, maybe they're more poppy than his guitar playing would initially, advocate for him. But when you listen to those records, like, there's a pile of guitar going on and all of that stuff. Plus, most pop records, I didn't know this when I was a kid, but as you get older and you get interested in production, then you end up realizing that Steve Lukather has played on every record that you fell in love with. And, like, I would hate myself for liking a pop record, be like, why do I love this? Why is that guitar solo so good? And Steve Lukather, God, there's so many just amazing players. Tim Pierce is another guy who's played on everything, and he's one of the most phenomenal guitar players ever, and at a young age where I wasn't quite smart enough to read all of the album credits to see who played on everything. And then years later, you're like, why do I like this so much? Like, I'm so interested in production now. Like, who was the guy?
Yeah.
And then those two names keep coming back on everything. And you're like, I just need to buy any record with Tim Pierce on it or Steve Lukather, or Larry Carlton or any of those guys.
That's what bothers me about the digital world is that the streaming world, you don't get those notes and you can't tell. I guess you can go to Wikipedia and find that stuff.
Or AllMusic, but like casual music fans don't go to allmusic.com. That's more like you can see everything that I've played on that's been out on a label on there. But, if you didn't buy the CD and get the liner notes to read through all that stuff, nobody goes to allmusic.com. Like, that's more a LinkedIn kind of thing for professional people.
Yep.
Fans don't go look at that stuff.
And then you've done, I don't know what, I guess I'm more of like a Black Crowes-y type of Southern pop thing, right, with my band. So you've played with me a ton over the last few years.
Yeah.
And then you just played with Jordan, did a bunch of gigs with Jordan, little country pop.
Who's a phenomenal young artist.
Yes, she is. About to release her EP.
Yeah, super excited about that too.
Yeah.
Because how many shows did I get to do with Jordan? 2, 3?
Yeah, I think 3.
Yeah, man. And she's just like every bit of it. Like a ton of personality. The songs are there. Like her stage presence is there. Like whatever it is, like she has it.
Yeah.
Like all eyes are definitely on her.
It's interesting. What do you think about, because I'll surprise you with what I think. What do you think about the American Idol voice artists that come out of that?
I mean, I think it has its place. It kind of harkens back to more of the variety shows that were probably more popular, like late 60s into the 70s, kind of trailed off into the 80s, and then music television took off, and I think everything went that way for a lot of, if you're going to make it on television kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think it has its place. The only thing that I think it fostered, and it could just be a part of the law of unintentional consequences of something that's good and entertainment value, is that becomes the goal. If I could just get on that show and show everybody what I can do, no matter how developed or undeveloped you are, somebody will see me and it will become a thing, which, yes, I think that's true. And I think for the first few seasons, like, we're still talking about, I'm not talking about them because I can't remember their names, but those first few winners of American Idol, I think because it was such a new
Carrie
thing,
Underwood and Kelly Clarkson.
They got to go off and do all of that stuff. Yeah. And then, like, Clay Aiken, who didn't win the year that he was on, but he ended up having a very successful touring career and recording career after that because he ingratiated himself with a national audience, which is fantastic.
See, okay, so you've just jumped on the point. You've just jumped on the point that I'll make. Okay, so here's my thought on it. I am less fascinated by hey, these guys are given this national stage, right? And they're turned into a star through no fault of their own. However, I look at it like this. You get this stadium full of people. So if you end up thinking about everybody that they go through and audition, and they audition all these people, and these personalities, it's less about talent and more about these personalities that sort of rise to the top, right? And they're looking to fill roles. They want to fill a combative role. They want the bubbly role. They have all these roles, and these people rise up into these roles. So now you've got 50, 60,000 people that have auditioned, And now you bring it down into a couple hundred that make the show. And some of them are terrible because that's where the ratings are. But then you get the good ones. And a lot of times the talent doesn't rise to the top.
Right.
It's this sort of special charisma thing, right? It's this it thing that nobody can define that draws a crowd to these people. And the music scene people go, I don't get it. Like, I don't know why you keep advancing, you know? But the audience falls in love with something about them, and they push them and push them and push them. And at the end, talent will win out when you get to that level. But it's probably not the most talented person in that whole vast group of people.
Yeah, some of it too, like, of course, television producers are really smart about all the footage that they get, that they can figure out how to tell a story.
Yeah.
You know, so the things that you end up seeing as the little sub-stories on the side of all of the actual performances and stuff that help brand the people that are competing and all of this stuff. Like, sometimes it's just you just fall in love with a person. Like, they're doing all these things, and maybe somebody's dad had cancer, and I'm doing this for my dad because I lost my dad to cancer, and you're just like, oh, man, I really feel for this kid, you know, because, like, their dad's life dream was to see their kid do their thing, and, like, they didn't live long enough, so, like, they're doing, you know, it becomes this really good story that's easily marketable in a platform like that. And sometimes when you're voting for somebody, it might not necessarily be like, this is the greatest talent or the greatest artist that could be there, but because of that entirety of that story, when it's, you know, viewer votes for things, I think a lot of that goes into
I think it gets you, but I think it's your performance. So I look at it as you've got this persona that you've put out there, right? And if I ever see through your persona, you've lost my vote.
Yeah.
So if you're cheesy, goofy, like there was a guy with this beautiful hair, I'm going to forget all their names. He ended up with a Broadway career, but he would follow the camera and he'd do all this goofy crap. But it was genuine, it was who he was. It never broke character. You never saw through him. And people hated him and people loved him and people thought he was goofy, but he never broke. You never saw through him. So he advanced pretty far. But the second you could see their interaction, they would lose their character. You would see through them. They were always out. They would get voted out. So that was a big no-no. You can't see through their character. Yeah, Bo Bice had this one thing. I don't think Bo Bice won. I think he came in second place. But he got to the final, and it was three people. And of the two people had gone before him, and they asked him, I want you to walk to one side or the other and tell me who you think is the best one. And he sat down in the middle of the stage. And he won second place. Talent-wise, he couldn't win it. I don't think he won it. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But that got it for him. So it's these little moments and these little tests that we subconsciously have, I think. And to see someone win and get all the way through, the Silver Fox. Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah,
Birmingham?
What was his name?
Oh, man, I loved him. But see, I knew him before the show. Why am I can't. Taylor Hicks. I knew Taylor before the show. Taylor would do open mics in Birmingham. And then we had this late open mic. Then he'd come to our open mic and jump in there around 11, drive all that way here, play at 11 till 1 or 2 in the morning, then kick back. Guy worked himself to death. And I remember seeing him on American Idol and thinking, this guy, nobody has any idea the drive that this guy has. He's got a fan base and people love him. He is who he is. You can't see through his persona. You'll never crack him. And he won the damn thing. And he's gone on to have a great Broadway career, like a phenomenal Broadway career. He put out 2 records. I thought they were good. Nobody liked him.
Yeah.
But I thought they were good records.
What's crazy is I brought up Clay Aiken, a friend of mine. When I was in college, I went to the College of Charleston in South Carolina. And one of my classmates who's still one of my best friends, like for life, is Quentin Baxter. He and I were composition majors together. He's like the most amazing drummer I've ever seen, the most amazing composer, the most amazing arranger and producer. Like he's all things. Like he's incredible. While we were in school, he was hanging out with Wynton Marsalis when Wynton was doing the whole that whole series for jazz on PBS and all that stuff. Because he was playing gigs with Marcus Roberts and all those guys. Like he's just. Even as a young guy, he had it, and he had the connections. Like, clearly, he was very mature beyond that. But while we were in school, there was a young lady who was probably about 15 or 16 years old named Kiana Parler, who one of our professors in college discovered, and like they ended up gigging a whole lot, just like for such a young woman to have such a mature voice. Incredible. Flash forward many, many years later, she auditioned for American Idol and met Clay Aiken like in the early stages of all of that stuff, and they got to be really good friends. So as she didn't get selected further in for whatever reasons, because she has an amazing voice, Clay advanced, and when he went off and did his own touring, he hired her as a background singer for all of his touring stuff. So she went off and did all of those Clay Aiken tours. So you've probably seen Kiana do all that stuff. And then you come around to now, Quentin, he's been playing with a jazz singer named Renee Marie for the last several years. They put out several records, and they've been nominated for 2 Grammys.
Yeah, wow.
They put together a very Charleston project called Ranky Tanky in 4 years ago now. But they're nominated for their first Grammy. Like, I guess that's this Sunday. That's coming up. And Kiana is the lead singer for that, and Quentin is the drummer for that, and the producer for all that stuff. So that's his 3rd Grammy nom. And like everybody in the band is everybody I went to college with. Like all of my friends are in this band. It's a weird tie back to American Idol. Like that was a while ago when Clay Aiken was on American Idol, but that really is a testament to like if you're an artist and you're working and you keep at it, like if you're real and genuine and you're just gonna stay on the grind, like that girl, like I mean, she's only a few years younger than me, but at this point, like I've known her for 25 years, and like she has just been on the grind since she was a teenager. Just incredible. Like the talent and the personality and all the things that should come along with it. Like maybe American Idol wasn't the conduit for where she was at the time, but just that perseverance to like, it's nice to see that really genuine artist that I've known for a lifetime doing really genuine, great work, getting recognized through the Recording Academy. Because some people kind of think of it as it's a popularity game. Like if you're in with people, then you get the noms. Like I think that record that I did with Rich, we were on the short list for the Grammys that year, but we didn't get to the proper nomination. Like that's as close as I've ever gotten. Yeah, and it may be as close as I ever get unless I play for somebody that's a Grammy artist.
Have you have you kept up with all the shenanigans that are going on with the Grammys right now?
The one thing that I saw was the whole thing with Joey Kramer and Aerosmith.
Oh, that's all different.
That's a whole thing. I didn't even know Joey wasn't playing with them. Joey. I didn't realize it was a thing.
Well, he went through a rehab, either physical, mental, something that kept him away from them for 6 months. So he came back and was ready to play. They've been asking him to come back and play. He wouldn't come back and play. This is the best that I can get into it. Then he came back and said, I want to play at the Grammys. And they said, no, we're going to include you because they're getting a Music Cares Award. We're going to include you in the, you're going to go in the Grammys and receive the award with us and all that, but you're not going to play with us because you're not ready. And you haven't practiced with us, and we've got someone else. So he said, no, I'm ready. And they said, you have to audition. Prove to us you're ready. And apparently he did. And they said, you're not ready. So he filed a lawsuit. My first knee-jerk reaction was to go against Aerosmith, the guys, and be like, come on, man. But after reading their statement, they just released a really good statement that said, we love him. He's a part of the band. He's not going anywhere. He's not ready to play yet. When he's ready to play, he can come back. So, yeah, that's it. But I'm talking about, like, they just completely imploded, and I'm too close to it. So I can't say anything about it because...
Sounds juicy.
Well, I say I can't say anything. Like, I love Michelle Kaplinger. I love Tammy Hurt. And I have great respect for Deborah Dugan. And so what happened is Neil Portnow got Me Too'd out, I think. See, anything I say, like, I'm too close to it.
Yeah.
I want to be I have so much respect for Michelle Kaplinger, so much for Tammy Hurt that I don't want to say anything wrong. So I'm going to be very careful. But I have a lot of respect for Deborah Dugan. She ran all of the Bono charities. She's got tons of nonprofit experience. So Neil Portnow was out. They brought in Deborah Dugan. She came in, and apparently she just ran a train over everybody, and they put her on administrative leave.
Wow.
I don't know what happened. I know that it's in turmoil. Washington Post just did a big article on it. Let's see, what is it? Dugan responded today to a stunning 44-page complaint filed with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission alleging gender discrimination, sexual harassment, unequal pay on the part of the Academy. Whew, see, I'm not even going to go any further than that. But,
Yeah.
Apparently, Dugan stepped on all the wrong toes. I think she just went out there like a freight train from hell. This is just my far away look at it. But Joel Katz is in the middle of it now. Dugan and Joel Katz have locked horns, and I love Joel. So I'm too close to it.
It's funny, like, not to talk about that particular thing, but I was on a flight to New York to play a show, and right across the aisle from me, I don't know Joel Katz.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
But I'm right across the aisle from a very nice gentleman, looks to be about my age, and like we just get to talk, and we're like, hey, where are you guys going? Like, you can tell I've got this crazy beard and the long hair and whatever. It's like, you guys musicians and whatever? I'm like, yeah, I'm just going up to play this wedding. This was the wedding I played up at the Rainbow Room at NBC Studios, which, like, it's super cool. Like, this corporate band getting to do all this crazy venue stuff is just amazing. Well, we got to talking for a while. His name's Steve Sidman. He used to work for Joel.
Yeah, I love
Katz.
Steve. Steve's what a great guy. Steve's a great guy.
What's super funny is Brandy Williams from Black is one of the singers in Jesse's Girls, and Steve used to represent Black back in the day when they were doing all their stuff. So, like, we had no idea we were on the same flight. This was like a little mini family reunion on a flight coming out of Atlanta up to New York, which was just super awesome. And, like, Steve knows everybody I know. And, like, we probably talked the entire flight, which was pretty rare. Like, usually you meet somebody like, hey, it was really great to meet you. Cool. All right, man. Well, have a good time. And, like, no, we, like, chatted like we were long-lost friends forever. Like, what a super great guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, amazing. And, like, literally knows people that I know very well, that I consider family. Like you. Like, family. That it's just crazy how small the music world really is. Like, it's not even Kevin Bacon-esque.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, so Steve was with Joel Katz, you know that, right? And then he left and he went somewhere else, and then he started his own law firm.
Yeah, he's been representing like television chefs and stuff like that, which is crazy. But you're doing stuff and you're on television, you probably need legal representation to do contracts. So.
And you're not going to get any better than Sidman. So yeah, so Joel Katz is like all these people I admire and look up to, and I'm just like, being very careful what I say, and you never know what's going on. I know Tammy Hertz released a couple of posts that are just saying, everybody chill and take a step back, and no knee-jerk reactions here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take Tammy's advice on that one, and I'm gonna step back. So yeah, it's interesting to see. I hate seeing people that I'm close to, that I care about, go through.
It's a tough business.
Times.
All of this is really a tough business because it's a very personal business. Even though it is business, it's still very personal.
Yeah.
These are all relationships, so there are personality politics involved with everything. I mean, forget about any other type of politics, but just trying to navigate all of the waters of a professional career and all of the different myriads of things with, artists, people associated with artists, hangers-on, workers, lawyers, PR people, labels, everything else. Like, you just don't know how things are going to go once, somebody's toes get stepped on.
When when you have this established organization, this established group of people, coworkers, friends, they have their territory, and you bring in somebody that decides, I'm going to bust all this up, you're gonna end up where we are right now. And maybe, I think, honestly, and what I would say to Michelle and Tammy and all those people, I think this is gonna be a good thing in the end. I think it'll be good for the Grammys. I think it'll be good for everyone else. Right now, it's great fodder, and you're getting a bunch of crappy articles like this one in the Washington Post. But it's tough. But I hope that it's better.
The worst thing too is, like, the press loves drama. So even if it's not as deep in the drama between people as it seems, if you just knew, well, this is this and this is this, by the time the press picks up on it, they're like, oh man, we're going to sell some copies and we're going to get some eyeballs on some things if we just make it sound a little juicier than it actually is.
So I think the Grammys are going to go off. I think it's going to be a great event. Alicia Keys is is hosting. I think it's going to be a good thing. But yeah, these things where I'm close to it, and I'm not like, like I care about these people. I'm not necessarily know any inside anything at all, but I care about these people. Hang in there, y'all.
You got this.
Hang in there, y'all. Yeah. The closest I come to Grammys is when I go to John Driscoll Hopkins' studio, and I can look at him through the glass.
Yeah.
And there are so dang many. Yeah, we're doing Jordan and I and the group, the gang, are we're doing a video at Brighter Shade.
Nice.
Have you been to Brighter Shade?
I have not.
It's beautiful. God, it's beautiful.
If you need like a homeless guy, just kind of pass out,
just to
pass out on the couch in the back somewhere. Just
is it a studio without that guy? You got to have some hookups.
Yeah, like, and then he'll just come around and like just empty the trash while everybody's doing stuff, just nonchalantly. Like I'm
see in the old days when we're younger, you needed that guy that had the good coke hookup or had the good drug amphetamine hookup, and now you need that guy that can get you some pure Metamucil. You know,
the really good quality,
really
Metamucil.
Good quality fiber, right?
For when it just by God needs to be there.
I know a vitamin water, dude. Blow your freaking mind.
I've got the emergency hookup.
We've got a very pure cognac that definitely doesn't cause hangovers.
Yeah, and then there's like the hand sanitizer guy.
Oh, you gotta have that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I ever go to NAMM in Anaheim, like I almost want to get a PA to like just follow me around with a thing of hand sanitizer, just squirt, squirt, squirt. Yeah, very nice to meet you. Squirt, squirt, squirt. All right, well have a good NAMM.
Did you see what the Yacht Rock guys did?
No.
Oh man, they got me too. I called Greg. They did I think they went to Guitar Center and just picked random people and were like, look, we're at NAMM. Look behind us. It's Al Di Meola. And they blurred out the face.
That is amazing.
And they were just
catching
amazing. These random people and attaching these famous names to him. People are like, you assholes, I can't believe you're at NAMM. Or everyone was hitting him up, man, come by my booth. I'm at damn.
Oh my God.
And so gold. I called Greg. Because at the end, if you read through the post, at the end they tell you it's all bullshit. Like they're all kidding. So I didn't read to the end of the post. So I called Greg. I'm like, Greg, man, damn, I didn't know you were at NAMM. And he goes, you didn't read to the end of the post, did you? It was brilliant, man. It's not even April 1st yet. They pulled the wool over our eyes.
That's gold. Why anybody else hasn't thought of that before now?
Like, my God, they met Al Di Meola.
Because like that's the worst thing as a guitar, especially as a guitar player.
Yeah.
Like, if you do instrumental music like I do, like it's great when you get hired by a band that needs a touring guy and then you're the hired gun guy. But like for my stuff, it's all instrumental stuff. So really, it's a very small pond that you're selling records to, really. But we're really good at selling gear because we all like go crazy for pickups and straps and picks and amps and pedals and just everything that goes along with it. So like we end up being like really great demonstrator guys for all of these companies that make all of this amazing stuff, which makes you a trade show guy. And I've done, I was a PV artist for a long time, so PV would fly me to London to do stuff. And then I've been to the Segas thing with Delaney guitars and Mahalo amplifiers, and I've done a bunch of stuff for Orange amps and stuff like that. It's great. It's great work, but it's just another version of doing sales.
Yeah.
In a more artistic kind of way, but still like you don't think about that as an artist that you're like going to end up on a trade show stand someplace. Like some things are really cool. Like when I did the London Guitar Show for PV, I was on a stand where that was the year that Doug Wimbish came on with, I think PV had just bought Trace Elliott, I think, or something like that. So like he was the superstar. All of the press for PV was going over to the Trace Elliott booth because everybody wanted to talk to Doug Wimbish. But on my stand, there was a UK rockabilly guitar player who was fantastic, and I can't think of his name, but he was like frighteningly good, so good. And then it was me and then Jerry Donahue from the Helicasters, who like I knew who he was. Like I lost my mind getting to watch him play. Like, and we would rotate every hour. We'd all play our little sets, and like I felt like I didn't belong there because like if you haven't heard Jerry Donahue, he is so good, like terrifyingly good. Like all of the double stop pedal steel licks. Like he would do this cool stuff where like he'd play a chord and then he'd play some harmonics and then he would bend different notes behind the nut. Like crazy stuff, and literally sounded like a pedal steel guitar. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like, so incredibly good. But like, I had a little bit of notoriety because Fozzy had been playing in the UK a lot. So Peavy was really happy to have me there. But because everybody was so interested in Doug Wimbish, it was just really me and Jerry just hanging out. And it was my birthday that weekend. So, like, I just had Jerry all to myself, which was crazy.
Nice.
Like, we went out to dinner one night. He bought me a bottle of wine for my birthday that year. Like, crazy. And, like, I think the last stand, like, we decided to do a little jam. And I was like, please, Jerry, just be kind to me. He's like, come on, man. You be kind to me because I'm doing all the stuff off of 205 awesome. That year. Like, but chicken picking and shred foo rock stuff, really very different. Like, I'm not saying one is less of an art. Yeah. But the guys that can do that kind of stuff, like Andy Wood, he's a whole other level of frightening. Or Josh Smith, that kind of bluesy, chromatic, like I can play country, I can play blues, I can play jazz, like, you can't touch those guys. No. They're all so good and so tasty. They can literally play anything, whereas like rock guys like me are like, let me show you this thing that I can do. All right, that's enough of that. Don't want you to steal that one thing that I can do, kind of thing. Like, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And somebody from Germany got some video of it, and like a friend of mine was hanging out with me, and he got his card, but we never got the footage. So somewhere exists video footage of me playing with Jerry Donahue, and like I've never seen it.
Oh, you gotta find it.
I would love to find it.
You gotta find it. So we were talking earlier. We're not young spring chickens, you and me.
We're rounding the curve away from the spring chicken.
We are rounding the curve, aren't we?
We're still kind of in it's late spring.
Late spring. we're late spring chickens. So I remember in the Zero Chance days, way back when we met, we were talking about the MySpace, and everybody had the MySpace. Had to have the MySpace, right? And then the face pages, the Facebook came out.
The Book of Face.
The Book of Face, the Facebook came out. Remember, you could poke somebody, and I didn't like that part of it. I was like, I don't want you to stop. People don't poke me.
Yeah, they had a poke button, but they didn't have a fucking stop it.
Yeah, stop poking me button.
Like, that would be the thing to have.
Now you can wave. Like, I'll get this weird, someone's waving at you. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay.
Bad touch.
So we go through that, and then we get the, we get the Instagram, right? And now the kids are doing the TikTok.
The TikTok, yeah.
What is the TikTok?
I'm learning about the TikTok because Gary Vee is sort of the social media guru that everybody points to about all kinds of stuff. And, like, he's kind of been ahead of the curve on all things. Like, before Facebook really had an algorithm, that you could not get ahead of, there was a time when you could just organically go viral. Yeah. Same thing with Instagram. You could organically go viral. Now the way it's set up is like you have to have a bunch of likes and followers and friends and all of that stuff. But then they kind of harangue stuff if you want to promote your things. Like, you can't avoid it because everybody's on Facebook and everybody's on Instagram, but it's not the same as just instantly going viral about a thing. And TikTok at the moment, and this is a thing that Gary pushes, is that even though it's kind of for kids and they're doing like the little karaoke videos and the crazy dances and like little challenges and things like that, which they're fun and they're neat. I'm trying to study and learn it. Like, I'm not going to do any of those silly dances. Like, I got a bad hip, man. I can't do
all that stuff the kids do, all that.
Yeah,
but I just felt weird being on there. But now what I'm seeing is everybody's kind of going over there. Remember Vine?
I think it's because of Gary. And this is kind of taking over the Vine thing.
Yeah, the Vine thing. Vine was so dumb. Why did that go away? Who bought Vine? I think Facebook bought Vine.
Maybe they did. And I think it kind of got rolled into Instagram,
but it
didn't quite
Instagram,
work
the
same.
Yeah, so I think that's just becoming the new Vine. Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, and the thing that Gary's been pushing, and eventually it's going to change, but there's this narrow window of time of you can open up an account on TikTok, have 0 followers, and if you put out some engaging content, you could organically get millions of views and likes on a thing. How you turn that into commerce, I have absolutely no idea. Like, of course you want to market to whatever your demographic is with all that stuff. So Instagram, like, if you go on Instagram and you just search hashtag guitars or whatever, like, you're going to see more BS about any of that stuff. But it's kind of the joke. Like,
Yeah.
well, what do you do? Well, I'm an Instagram model. Oh, okay. Well, what do you do? Well, I'm a soldier on Call of Duty. It's not a real thing, but people have literally, in the same way that Andy McKee launched his career, did that happen off of Facebook when he had that first drifting song that kind of
I think
took
it was
off?
Facebook, yeah.
Like, that was back when there wasn't an algorithm in place. You could literally just do a thing and people be like, this is amazing. You know, the last thing I saw that was like that was the lady who had bought the Chewbacca mask and like just in her car just was laughing.
Just laughing hysterically.
That went so ridiculously viral, and like there was no way to monetize your videos on that stuff.
You know what? You know what? Again, though, that goes to my point about Facebook, and I want young artists to really pay attention to.
Talking to you,
we're talking to you, young people, to pay attention to that. This woman. She put on that Chewbacca mask, and she laughed hysterically. She wasn't you ever heard of a thought? You know what a thought is? It's not a nice term. It's not a nice word. She was just a genuine lady laughing as hard as she could. No pretense, no ulterior motive. She just put...
It was real. Like,
it was real.
She was so tickled by the thing, she could not stop laughing. And to watch the pure joy that this woman was having just messing around with this toy was so wonderful to see. In a world of everybody posts, whether it's, you know, political diatribes or anything else, it's so nice to see something that's just genuine joy. You don't see enough of that online. No. I don't think. It's usually some people trying to like put on airs of, look at how great my life is. Yeah. Like, but for these 5 minutes, this woman literally had the best life ever.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
It was so good. And we did. Because it was so good. Okay, so TikTok. So everyone, you got to get a load of TikTok, see what it is. I always thought it was just a bunch of young girls doing silly dances, but now it's turning into Vine. So I'm going to have to get on there.
Yeah, like it's interesting. Like as I've tried to just watch and learn about what everybody's doing there's a thing called the For You page, which is just, these aren't people that you're following. Like if you just create an account and then this is the thing that you're going to see. And you just kind of scroll from video to video, and if you like something, you can like it. If you want to check out the rest of their account, you can do that. If you want to follow them, you can do all that stuff. You can comment, you can do all that stuff. But there's just this continuous stream of video content, and like you don't know what you're going to get. You know, it could be the silly dances, it could be the karaoke thing.
I guess the more you like, the more it figures out who you are and what you want. See, I'm always worried that I'm going to look like that guy that goes into Chuck E. Cheese all by myself. You know what I mean?
Hogging the skee ball lane.
Hogging the skee ball lane. It's like, dude.
Chumping all these kids out of their tickets.
I think that guy walked in here without any kids. Right? I don't want to be that guy. So I don't be that guy on TikTok. Everybody's like, wait a minute now. What's going on here?
But there's a thing. Like I've now been on TikTok for 2 months, and I've only put out 6 little guitar videos. And as I've watched stuff, I haven't hashtagged enough of my stuff other than like music, guitar player, or whatever, just trying to get people who are looking for those types of things to see that stuff. But invariably, I will see videos from people. There's like the hashtag over 30 club, hashtag over 40, hashtag. And like there's a whole culture of people that are like, I was told I was too old for TikTok, but here I am doing my thing. I am
TikToking my ass off.
TikToking in my little thought top and all that stuff.
What's that, Twitch? You ever seen the Twitch stuff?
No, but I am fascinated by it because I know it's a live streaming thing for like gamers that do that.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff on it though.
But you can do any live streaming
music.
Stuff.
There's a really hilarious guy. He's in a bathrobe. He's got a really terrible 70s mustache. He's got a DJ board, but he sings like friggin' Dream, and he does a bunch of looping and does all that. And the guy's got a thing. He's on Twitch. He's making money.
Maybe I keep thinking about getting a Twitch. It's not really working for me. But like you can do all the live streaming on Facebook, you can do it on YouTube, and YouTube you can monetize that stuff. Does Twitch work the same way where you can monetize that?
Let me tell you something about monetizing. Let me tell you about live streaming on Facebook.
I've made $200 on YouTube.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now I'm no longer monetized because I don't have my views up because I kind of stopped working on it.
Yeah.
But like I literally got a couple shares. Like, really? I made money. I made real money. I just posted some stuff and I made a little bit of money.
There you go. So, what was that? Where were we at?
monetizing. Like,
yeah,
what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I don't,
what's the deal with this monetizing?
With this monetizing, I go to the post office. There's wanted pictures on the wall. I'm asking myself, why didn't they hang on to this guy while they was taking his picture? One of the very first Seinfeld jokes I ever heard. It's like, what do they want me to do? You know what? I'll take some stamps and a search warrant. I'm going after this guy. I've had it up to here with his activities.
It's enough. We're not taking it anymore.
Yeah, it's Facebook live streaming. Man, I've live streamed some amazing content. I get 2 viewers.
Yeah.
Like what? It's hard, man.
One of the best things I live stream, and I didn't think about it at the time, like in the dreaded market, I've done 500 Songs for Kids, which is a great charity organization here in Atlanta, really where like they do music stuff to raise money for kids that are in like cancer wards and stuff like that. It's an amazing charity. 500songs.com or .org, or just look that up. But they do a thing every year here in Atlanta where it's 500 Songs for Kids. Like every band, we all play one song, and they tell us what we're going to play, and like it goes on for weeks at every club around town where they're just raising money for this charity. It's really great, and we've been involved almost every year with the Dreaded Marco. I've done it with a couple other bands too, and one year it was the year that Prince had passed away.
Oh.
So they did a special Prince night, and we played. Coy Bowles played. I forget what he did. William Duvall from Alice in Chains played. I can't remember if that was before or after us, but we did this really hip version of I Feel For You into Erotic City back into I Feel For You. So like we took that whole Shaka Khan like crazy changes, and like I arranged this like fusion hard rock version of the whole thing. It was so hip. But if you don't know this, you cannot post you playing a cover of anything Prince online and it not get taken down.
Yeah.
And like I didn't even get a letter for it. I was like, I thought I live streamed this. Like it was so cool. It was one of the coolest things that we had done for any of those charity things. And like there's our version of a Space Hog tune up there you can still find. And like all this stuff that's gone. And like it didn't even dawn on me for 2 years. I've been like, where's that video? Maybe I didn't live stream it. I thought I live streamed it because it was hip. I remember watching it afterwards. Duh. It's a Prince thing.
I did like this. I did your intro, right? I did my intro on one of these blogs for Funky Nightclub for the CD I put out, and YouTube gave me a copyright strike on my own song. I guess it's a CD Baby thing. CD Baby must.
I've gotten the same thing because I distribute 205 now through CD Baby.
Oh yeah.
So if I do anything through my channel, it's really set up differently. Like there's the ones that are just organically generated by YouTube and CD Baby, and then there's your content. Like for a minute, like all my stuff got pulled down. It's like, no, it's actually me.
Like it's my stuff. Stop it. Yeah, it's crazy on how that works. All right, so someone we have in common, you know Leslie Fram, right?
Oh yeah.
She
Not
is
super well, but
yeah, she is one of my favorite people all time. I was her Santa at one of her Christmas shows. And her husband, Lanny, who I absolutely adore, they wanted me to be Santa. And I said, I'll be Santa. You bring in an elf that's taller than me, and I'm walking out, though. There will not be an elf taller than me, I'm telling you. I draw the line. She, women, have you seen what's happening with women in country music?
No.
First off, let me just say this.
What's the deal with women in country music? Sorry. Watch way too much Seinfeld.
I know. All right, so I'll be a little politically incorrect. You have your Zach Browns, who I think quality music, top to bottom. Then you have your other people. This Florida-Georgia line. I'm not saying anything bad about him.
I'm not saying anything.
But
I'm Patrick Swayze.
Oh yeah. Stop. See, stop.
All right.
No.
All right.
No. We're not going there.
That's not the band.
That
was a different thing.
It was a different thing. But you're not a good person.
I'm okay. What's the deal?
What's the deal with Patrick Swayze? So, all right. So then you got all this bro country, and there was a radio station that came out and said, we're not playing women back to back. So women who right now have the most quality music in country music, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that.
Casey Musgraves can't get radio play. You got all these bands not getting radio. If you're not crossover, like if you're not getting play on mainstream or AAA, you're not getting play on country music if you're a woman. It's very difficult. So, Leslie Fram threw the gauntlet down as vice president of CMT, and they're doing 50-50 now, men and women artists on their videos.
I did see an article about that.
See that?
I did see that. That's good. I think that's a good thing. It's a silly thing that there has to be a standard for that.
Isn't there? It's a silly thing that a major country radio station would say, we're not playing women back-to-back, period. In fact, we're playing one woman an hour. That's all we can get away with? No.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So she's doing that, which I'm really excited because, A, we're spending all this money and we've invested all this time in Jordan, and she's a woman in country music. So I'm loving that Leslie's putting that. But you know what? All the artists that she's broken over the years, all the artists that have a career because of Leslie Fram, and she could sit at CMT under the radar and, run her CMT, and she's been very successful everywhere she's went. She blew the doors off of New York City, went to CMT, very respected. She's kind of drawn a line in the sand and said, no, I'm not putting up with this. So huge amount of respect for her for what she's doing. And very proud she's an Atlanta girl. And very proud that she's a friend of mine. And, see where this goes. But, when you've got this talent like Jordan or, Vanessa Oliveras out there working her butt off to make it. In music. And
I'm sure you've heard Boys Club for Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord, that's so good.
Isn't it?
So good, man. So good.
Yeah.
Like, if that's not the thing that's just breaks things wide open for her, I don't know. Like, she's clearly doing great. Like, she's working, constantly. Like, I've followed her for years now. Like, she's working.
Oh, yeah.
And she certainly should. Like, she's got the work ethic. She's got the gumption. She's got the talent. She's got...
the look. She's got the personality.
Every bit of it, man. Like, I'm just, so enamored with that stuff. But this record in particular, I just feel like there's a synergistic thing that's about to land upon her right now.
I missed her. She played tonight with Kristen Bush. She opened up for Christian with Darkwater. Seen that band?
I have not.
Oh, my God. Benji.
Benji Shanks. Who's on bass? Is that...
I can see him with my eyeballs. I can see him in my brain. You got Christian Bush. You got Benji Shanks. And you got one more person that I know. Hold on. Are we going to have to look this up?
We have an internet. We can Google this. We have a technology.
Dark Water. A lot of dark waters out there.
What's the deal?
What's the deal with Dark Water? All right, so we've got... Who do we have? Are we on me or are we on you? Hold on, I got to see. Yeah, we don't want to be on me. I want to put it on you.
Yeah.
There we go.
You want my surprise face?
Yeah, I don't want people looking at me, looking at Google. That's not...
Look at him. He's reading. He's reading.
Oh, I'm embarrassed to be alive at the exact moment. Do you know the name I can't remember that I'm trying to remember? Brandon Bush.
Oh, good Lord.
Again, I know we need to find someone that we can say bad stuff about. But first of all, Benji Shakes. What in the hell?
Yeah, if you don't know,
so good.
If you don't know about Benji Shanks,
damn, he's good.
Come on, man.
Shanks is good, and then the brothers Bush, Christian and Brandon.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, I made Christian mad one day. The Grammys. It was a Grammy party, and he was with Train at the time. It's like he had to pick between two supergroups at the time, Train and Sugarland. He picked Sugarland.
Times is hard.
Times is hard for Brandon Bush. And I said, Brandon, you know what? The thing about Train, he was like, oh, God, here we go. I said, no. I said, Train puts a record out, and half the songs I never want to listen to again. And the other half are the soundtrack to my life for the next year.
Yeah.
It's like, it's either I'm so all in, but there will be 5 songs a record that I can't that'll stay on complete spin the whole time. But yeah, Brandon, what an absolute talent, great guy. Christian, sweet guy too. That band is really good.
Yeah.
I caught him at Gypsy Rose. I played Gypsy Rose right down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
That was not that long ago.
Not that long ago. And then, so Vanessa's opening up for them. But yeah, so again,
Is, Spencer from Electric Avenue. Is he playing bass? I know he plays in Christian's regular
Kevin?
band.
Yeah, Kevin Spencer probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
K. Spence, man.
K. Spence.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, Electric Avenue. Shannon Pingelli.
And Eric Frampton again. Bringing that full circle.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got, what a great, we're sitting in this Atlanta music scene. And I mean, all these people we're talking about, what great musicians, great people.
Yeah, and really have an influence that extends beyond, like, we know them here.
Yeah.
But beyond here, like, they really are representing ATL on the national level, if not international level, for sure. Like, just yacht rock. What craziness. Years ago when that started, I was like, this is the most insane idea ever. And they were so good. You're like, I can't get enough of this.
Yeah.
Like, you would go see them at the 10 High.
Yeah.
Downstairs.
Every Thursday.
They had the regular stand. Like, you walk down the stairs, and it's 1978. Like, as soon as you walk down the stairs, the sound, the look, everything was just incredible. Like, could not get enough of it. And, like, they deserve every bit of the success that they've had with it. But, like, who could have possibly predicted the level of success that they have achieved with everything that they're doing
You know
now?
what's crazy? That first show, I got to sing with them on the first 2 shows that they did at 10 High. And Vanessa sang, like everybody. They had a whole ton of guests.
That's how I met Vanessa, is through the whole yacht rock
thing. Really?
Yeah. I think she was singing with the review, the Schooner.
No. Well, she sang with the Big Yacht Rock Review the first few shows, right?
Or maybe it was I saw, because one of the early ones I got to see, for some reason Mark Cobb wasn't on drums. So Ganesh was on drums. And Ganesh was like, dude, you got to see me and Greg play. Like, we never get to play together. You got to see us play together. I was like, 100%. I got to be there for that. And I think Vanessa was on that gig.
Yeah. I'm sure she was. Well, I'll tell you. So the very first show that they did, you walked in at 10 High, and you don't know what to expect. Like, I hung a bunch of posters, so you knew it was going to go well. So, man, I hang a mean poster.
I can
hang a mean-ass poster.
Man, I hang the fuck out of a poster, man.
Poster hanging. So he...
It's a well-hung poster right
but
there.
When you walked in, the place was full, and when they started playing, everybody, it was like opening Christmas presents. Everybody's like, oh, God, I love that song. Oh, I love that song. There was something special, but the question was, okay, it works. Can it sustain itself?
Yeah.
And it just grew and grew and grew. If you look at their tour, Sirius XM is behind it. They got this massive tour this year. They got an all-original record.
Aren't they being promoted by Live Nation and so?
Yeah, Live Nation.
Yeah, it's a huge thing now.
Yeah. It's huge. It's massive. And we're going on 12, 13 years now?
Yeah. It's like, good on them for, like, having an idea, seeing it through, you know? Because, like, the whole idea of, like, going to, you know, was it Junkman's Daughter?
Yeah.
Or whatever the little retro clothing boutiques were in Little 5 Points, and, like, finding the most ridiculous polyester pants to be like, we're going to own this.
You're going to own it?
Yeah. We're going to look like your dad.
You know, yeah. You know what the name of the new tour is? I think it's Hot Dads in Tight Pants.
Man, I missed it.
Yeah.
Like, if I would just been the right place at the right time. Like,
look, man, that group of guys, their personality, the way they interact with each other.
Yeah, it's tight.
Their look,
it's
just all worked. I remember asking Greg Lee one time, if you had to play right now without a book or anything, how many songs do you think you could play? This was 10 years ago, and I asked him this. It's like, I don't know, maybe 600?
Crazy.
600.
Crazy.
Guys, super talented. All of them are.
Yeah, like everybody in the band, like top. Like, you can't, like, that's the funny thing about that kind of soft rock. Like, you can really underestimate how difficult that music is to play. Like, let alone figure out how to transcribe it and do all that stuff. And then to be able to accurately reproduce it, like, for the sound.
Yeah.
Like, the level of detail. Yeah.
To the point that the original artists that played on those want to play with Yacht Rock Review, want their songs, want to get on stage with them. and play it.
Yeah, that's a level of amazing musicianship.
Yeah, Robbie Dupree talked about that. I did the podcast with him. Robbie talked about, I figured I'd come see. I had to check this out. I didn't know if I wanted to even be involved with you guys. And he heard it and he was like, oh man, this is the deal. Yeah, Robbie gave them a good credit. You got this great bunch of guys, great musicians, and Mark Donnell's. This is amazing, just everything. And Monkey Boy.
Monkey Boy. Fucking love Mark.
I think he was the mastermind. He was the mastermind of the Al Di Meola at NAMM.
That's so brilliant. That is so brilliant.
Greg's like, you didn't read the bottom of the post, did you? I'm like, no.
No. That needs to be like a yearly thing now.
I'm on it now. Not getting me a second time. He's like, we had so many people asking us to come by the booth.
Yeah, we'll be right over.
Yeah, it's such a Mark Donnell's thing to go freaking pull off.
That's so
It was
brilliant.
so good. And I think they got the idea on the phone and decided to all meet. It wasn't like they were at Guitar Center and said, hey, man, let's do this thing. I think they all met up just to pull it.
Just to do it.
Yeah, just to do it. That's
amazing.
That's the lore. That's what the lore tells me. The folklore of the story. So, man, let's talk about something you and I deal with. Not to get too deep into the woods, but I think somebody can get something out of it. I think when you get creative people, and we live this world that we live, this creative world that's full of ups and full of downs, full of all arounds, and you can have this extreme up after, that show high that you get after you just crush the show, and then you got the whole other side of the whole depression.
Oh yeah,
thing. I think you and I have both battled with it, man. What is up with this depression thing?
What's the deal with this depression thing? Like, I had forgotten that this was a thing, but the post-tour blues is really a thing.
Yeah.
Like, when you're on a concentrated tour, no matter what level of strata you're in, like if you're just going town to town, slugging it out, like there's an energy and an inertia to all of that stuff. And if you have any notoriety at all, like I was very lucky. Most of my major touring was either with Fozzy or with Stuck Mojo, which tons of press. So every show, somebody's taking pictures. Somebody's at least interviewing Chris or Rich or Bones or whatever. So you're just in and around all of this excitement. Every town you go to, there's fans waiting to see the band and all that stuff. Like, it's a lot. And then you come home from tour and everything, in a good way, sits down.
Yeah.
But then you're so caught up in the inertia of that, and then, you're back in Atlanta and you're just, hey, and you're just Mike. You can not get arrested or whatever. Like you'll do, like for a long time, I would host jam nights at like whether it was Darwin's in Marietta or Nick's Place. Both of those places are gone, but they were legendary for the jams that we used to do there. And like, those jams kept me alive in between tours, because you'd be out for a while. And if you go out and do a big tour, the natural law of unintended consequences of doing a good tour is people assume that you're busy, so they don't call you for work because they figure you're not going to be in the country or whatever. So all of that hustling I'd done for a long time before I got big tours like that turned into, oh, well, he's made it. And like just you feel like you're left behind. You come home and like everybody's like, oh, hey, man. Like, how's tour?
Yeah.
How's whatever? Like, they end up talking about a thing that's, like, ethereal. It's way over here. And, like, it just happened, and it was incredible, and it was good work, but you're ready to move on to the next piece of work or something after a little bit of a break. It can be really, really depressing.
Yeah, you're not Mike Martin on tour. You're Mike Martin at home without a steady paycheck.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what am I going to do till this next tour starts up.
Yeah, like your phone isn't ringing for like the next interview, the next photo shoot, the next, even though some of that stuff can be it can seem like a nuisance when like you really just want to eat, a slice of pizza in peace or something like that. Just like, I just need 15 minutes. I've been locked up in a bus with all these other people. Like, this is my 10 minutes to sit by myself and just get a little, because I'm a bit of an introvert. Like, it takes me a lot to wind up, to be ready to be around people 24/7, because there's no secrets at sea. Like, everybody knows everybody's business. There's always somebody around. And if you're touring with good people, like I've been fortunate too, where everybody's, genuinely thoughtful and genuinely caring. And like, Nobody's, going out of their way to put you underneath them or anything like that. Like, everybody's genuinely concerned for everybody's well-being. Like, those are really great tours to be on. But, like, even still, under the best of circumstances, everybody's encroached on everybody's personal space. You just can't get away from that. So when you get home and you're like, finally, you just lay down, you can do your laundry, and like you don't have to answer to anybody in 15 minutes or whatever. But then you find that you've kind of habituated to everybody being around, that extra stimuli. Like, it's a thing. Like, it takes a minute to ramp up to it, and then it takes more than a minute to ramp down from it.
How long did it take you to kind of identify, oh, you know what? What I'm feeling is actually is depression.
It took me years.
Yeah?
Like, I would notice a little bit of in-between blues, but the thing that I was at least savvy about early on is that I was really working hard to do things before I got the audition to work with Fozzy. So even just on the local scene, like, I was working with a lot of blues acts and a lot of jam band acts and stuff like that. I was teaching a lot. I was working in a local music store. Like, I was staying busy, the whole idea of multiple income streams and like just doing everything you can to get your name out there and meet as many people as you can and work with everybody you possibly can. And when you're younger, you have a little bit better aptitude to, if you're not working, go out to a club and see everybody that's playing.
Yeah.
And just, make sure you're supporting the local scene and in every way that you possibly can. Not being much of a drinker or a partier, and being an introvert, it's really hard to get me out of the house, even when I was younger, to just go out on a night off. It's like, I've been in a club 6 nights this week, and on the 7th night, Randy Chapman's playing someplace. I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
Dude, and Chappie's one of my favorite people and favorite guitar players on the planet. You're like, do I go? Like, all right. When I was younger, it was easier to drag my butt out the door to do that stuff. So I think I stayed busy enough when I was younger to where I didn't necessarily notice. I have a tendency to slip into depression anyway from a pretty young age, but I would stay busy enough to not acknowledge that. But after I stopped working with Fozzy about 10 years ago, like, I kind of went into a funk because it was losing a big job. Like, my career trajectory was changing and trying to figure out, like, well, what am I doing next? So I found an opportunity with Steve Vai's label to redistribute my record. So that was a good bolster into okay, I'm not going to completely sink into the doldrums. And Digital Nations was interested in my next record. So I could re-release this record, and then I had a place. I knew that my next record would have a home to go to. And then right at that time, me and Frampton and Sean and Doug and everybody were talking about, picking up the ball with Agent Cooper and doing that stuff.
Are you staying busy or are you running from it?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think for me, I end up trying to fill the void because I'm afraid to sit alone in a room with my own thoughts. If I have something to do while I'm alone in that room with my own thoughts, I can skirt around the darkness. But if there's nothing to do, just to sit around, I'd start ruminating about, I don't have anything to do.
You know what? I think that's so important. I will have the music on in the car. I know when I'm getting into that, because you talk about isolation. So isolating a ton. My friends are all at a gig, and I'm isolated here, right? Or I'm there, and I'm pushed back. I'm in my hole. I scooch out without saying bye, just so I can get going. You ever do that?
Oh yeah.
Scooch out.
We call that Casper.
Casper
the friendly ghost.
Yeah.
Like, hey, everybody. What happened to that guy?
Yeah. Scooch out.
Because otherwise it's going to take 45 minutes to say goodbye to everybody you said hello to. So it's better to just sneak out the back.
Sort of Casper out. Yeah. Or, but that's interesting you say that, because I would have the radio in the car, have the phone playing the video while I walk upstairs, have a record playing, or always reading and then go to sleep. Read to the point I can't keep my eyes open, so I don't have to sit alone with myself and my thoughts.
And social media has been the worst for my compulsion with that, because as soon as I start getting on top of myself with my own thoughts, scrolling through things, I'm reading things, just like, what's everybody doing? What's this picture about? What are these other musicians doing? Like, you just find some way to project all of that negativity that you're feeling towards yourself in some way, either looking for something positive or like to have some kind of weird jealousy of everybody's got it so good. But we all know at this point that social media is just a way of everybody, like, it's all the highlights. It's all you really see on social media. Is everybody's like, these are the highlights of everything that's going on, not the inside day to day. Like, I have some really good days. I have some really productive days. I
Yeah.
have some days where I feel really good about the work that I'm doing. But then in between, there are days where like, you can't market this stuff and nobody sees this stuff. It's just the doldrums of doing the work.
You ever see the social media meltdown?
No.
Whew, where someone just has a full off. Oh man, yeah. So that's the other thing. Don't have the social media meltdown where you go into the the whole I'm gonna kill myself or I'm done.
I actually have seen that, and like it's a very difficult thing because I've had a few friends that have been in a bad place, and like you want to reach out because I understand being in a bad place.
Yeah.
But also not telegraphing that. Not at least not in that way. Like I would rather telegraph. Like if you follow me on social media, you probably notice that I will promote the National Hotline for Suicide Prevention and things like that because I think it's important.
Yeah.
That everybody just checks in with one another and all that stuff. Not to be like, hey guys, I need attention right now for this. It's like no, I went through a really bad spot, and I want everybody to be aware that probably everybody goes through bad spots, and just like let's just get a health check. You know, just let's just check in on all of our friends. If you haven't heard from somebody, just like reach out to folks if you haven't heard from them in a while.
Do you know how important that is?
Oh,
to get a phone call from someone that says, "Man, I'm just thinking about you. How you doing?
Yeah.
How you doing?" I also think that's God, your higher power, whatever it is, reaching out and saying, "Your buddy's in trouble."
Yeah.
If someone pops into your brain like that, call them. Or if you're in the doldrums, call somebody.
Yeah. Like that's the thing that I notice is I don't like to complain because I don't want to feel like I'm adopting a victim mentality or, you know, there's so many stigmas that we have heaped upon ourselves through the expectations of childhood. And I think in a lot of ways with mental health issues for men in particular, we're not encouraged to be emotional when we were young, at least not in my generation. You have to man up. You're going to have to walk that off, son. You know, like all of these things where I think there's some wisdom in what I was being encouraged by my parents and an older generation ahead of me. But at the same time, there also wasn't, other than my own continued experimentation and expression through music and the arts, where I could be emotional in a very healthy and positive way. There wasn't any other way that explicitly where somebody was saying like, no, you can it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
You can put that here. You can't act out on these people because like these people didn't make you mad.
Yeah.
These kids didn't make you angry. Like you can't throw a rock at a kid on the playground just because you had a bad day. Right. Like you get other things about conflict resolution, you know, and just figure out that wherewithal of like, well, the conflict's in me. It's not with these kids. Like all of the things going on. It's interesting growing up, especially in a social media age now where like I've had conversations with friends that I grew up with that when you're a kid, you don't really know what everybody else is going through. You just kind of know your home situation. Like, I know it's bad for me. Like my older brother and I used to fight all the time and like it wasn't always great. So like I was super shy in school or and I still do this now, I overcompensate with humor when I'm anxious or I'm uncomfortable or whatever, because I don't want everybody to know how bad that I feel. So I'll make everybody feel better, you know? Like, and I've realized that there's something about me that either as that entertainer thing or as just a persona, like I can change the temperature of a room. If I walk into a room and I'm in a sour room, like I will just suck the temperature out of the room and everybody all of a sudden is just like, it's just cold in here. But if like, and I'm super worried about that, so I won't go out if I'm in a bad mood because I don't want to ruin everybody else's good time. Even if I don't complain or anything, but if I just because everybody's used to me being funny because I'm overcompensating for my other deficits. Yeah. So when I'm not that way, like I just don't have the energy for that stuff. Like everybody's just like, the mic's not even funny. You know?
Have you had that phone call where you're in that spot and someone calls you and you're like, man, you know what? I think I'm better. I think that helped.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a few conversations, and and this is a really clever thing with a couple of friends that I have where it's almost like a safe word, where like, if I were to get to a place where I did think I was getting on the cusp of having a bad situation, I could just text a phrase, whatever it is, you know, Dole Whip or some, you know, some crazy safe word kind of phrase of that only they know. Man, he's feeling like super dog shit, you know, and we just kind of have an understanding, like any one of us in this circle, like we have our just personal connection of like, if you texted me that or I texted you that, there wouldn't be a judgment or everything. Just like, come on over, just like, it's cool.
Yeah,
I got you. I got you. And if you want to talk, I got you. If you don't need to talk, you just need someone to sit in a dark place with you until you're ready to get up, I got you. You know, just knowing that I've never had to use that, but knowing that I have a few friends that care so much that if I did get to that, but the comfort that comes from that, like, it gives me pause to be like, all right, am I that bad? Am I feeling that bad?
Yeah.
Or am I just letting myself get a little wowsy woo woo over
And
this whole thing?
sometimes it's okay to get there, but it's not okay to stay there and to start isolating and start getting into that dark place. What David Chappelle in his last comedy special, he talked about Anthony Bourdain, and he said, this guy ate food with the amazing, most interesting people in the most interesting places in the world, and he committed suicide. It's like, it don't make sense. This whole thing doesn't make sense.
Like, I got terrified when, you know, and I guess this kind of ties into, like, why haven't I worked for a while? When I started working on this Drive record, I wanted to work through my depression. I was very aware of it. So this record, it's 20 compositions. It's all programmatic, and it's sort of autobiographical to where it's all just kind of laying out all the various things. And it's called Drive because, like, even when I was younger, as soon as I got my driver's license, I just want to go drive because it got me out of the house. It got me away from my brother and
Cindy
sister.
Lauper.
Yeah, like there's a thing to it, like where you're just like, I can clear my head. I can just go drive around.
Right.
And as a kid, I would just go drive around. And it seems like my whole career is like driving to gigs. So I'm driving interstates. I'm like, all I've done is drive. And like, I just got back from Washington, D.C. I've been riding on a bus. It's just like this highway. And the drive can be an allegory for all sorts of things, like a hard drive and everything that's cached on your drive of all your memories and all of these things that are on there. But it's also that fire in your engine that burns, that drives you, that compels you to do a thing as an artist, as a human being, to, like, you know, anything that you want to get after, whether it's your family goals or your career goals or spiritual goals and things like that. So the whole thing is kind of centered on that and the inner goings of that. And I had to put it down because I was getting a little too close to some things. Like, probably the centerpiece of the record is a song called Saudade, which is a Portuguese word that there's not a direct translation into English for, but it basically means a longing for something that was, but that will never be again. And I started writing it around the time that I realized a bit more than my wife and I weren't going to be able to have children. We had tried to have kids, and we had one, before we got married, we got pregnant and had a miscarriage. But we were pregnant for enough weeks where, like, I had that immediate panic of, oh God, that was an oops.
Yeah.
And like as soon as I said the word oops, I experienced a joy accepting the fact that I was going to be a father, that I have never known anything like those weeks of just like, there was no fear. There was just, yes, all yes to all of this. So that whole process of, like, we mourned the loss of that baby together, and, you know, ultimately kept us together and got us to get married and want to have children. Because, like, after that, we didn't have any more scares, no more oops or anything. So we went through all the fertility stuff and everything. So this song is, like, that's kind of the epicenter of all that stuff. But, like, going through the writing process to deal with all that stuff was real close to the bone. So, like, I just kind of had to step away from all of that work. Because it can be a good therapeutic thing to work emotionally through your art for all of that stuff. Like,
sure.
Like, really, that's the thing to do. That's why everybody should study, whether it's writing, poetry, sculpture, drawing, painting, music, any instrument, like, it doesn't matter. To have some means of expression to deal with your emotional stuff, like, is so good.
Well, there's two types of people in the world. There's people that create art to make their way through this life, and there's people that consume art to make their way through this life. And there's a yin and a yang, and we both have to do our part.
Yeah.
The artists have to keep creating it, and the consumers have to keep paying for it so that we can keep creating it, and we can have that circle of life. All that. All right, tell me again, February what? When's your next gig?
February 15th. Be opening for Tony McAlpine at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia.
Which is now located...
Oh, yeah, at Underground Atlanta.
Underground Atlanta.
Which is... I have not played at the new Masquerade. I've seen a few shows there.
No, I went and saw... I hope soon to be... I guess he would just be my cousin-in-law. Guy named Jake Garrett.
Yeah.
Wonderful guy. Yeah. All right. So I'm definitely going to be there.
Yep. Playing new music. I'm excited to have that out.
We're going to hear this.
I will play 2 of 5.
Yeah,
I will play this song. Yeah.
Well, 2 of 5. Well, man, you are a part of my family. You have played with me in summer for years. You've played with Jordan. You've been one of my favorites, people and musicians. So I love you, brother.
I love you, man. Family for life.
For life.
For life. We got many, many more shows to do together.
Yeah, we do. Lots of great memories. And you, my friend, are a hell of a talent and a hell of a guy.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see this next show. What do you think? Should we do it again at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like we could. You know how long this was? We went on for hour and 35 minutes.
Thank you for everybody that's listened to this point in the conversation. But this is how our conversations go, and I love podcasts like this where obviously there's years of rapport that go on and it's not just pandering to I got a thing to sell.
Yeah.
I'm glad we mentioned the show at the top and we mentioned the show at the end because the rest of it has just been well, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's just kind of an inside baseball. 2 friends cutting it up, chopping it up.
Chopping it up. All right, brother. We are out. Mike Martin, Mr. 2 of 5. See you, brother. Just a little bit more. You know what that sounds like? YouTube demonetizing me.
It'll be great if they just put the monetization towards me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that it'll work that way.
It's
supposed to.
It might. All right, there we go. And peace out.